Okay. Good morning, folks. This is Glenn Greenidge and Tom Pope. And one of the things that we want to discuss today is the conversation around bartering. As the pandemic flushes out and people are losing jobs, people still have skills. And so let's talk about bartering those skills for food, for, the needs. So, Tom, I'm going to throw it back to you.
All right. I started to think of this when I saw a news piece about a pizza owner, Gabrielle LaMonica in Brooklyn. Makes wonderful pizzas, but they're not for sale. Rather, he barters for other things like homemade food. I think maybe some supplies. There is no exchange of money. He doesn't want to do it for money. So the thought came to my mind, what does bartering do in terms of developing a sense of community? We have a mentality, I think, stressed so much on money that it actually sets us apart. When we have a money-oriented society where we're looking for a certain hourly wage, we are virtually competing with other people in our community. With the bartering system, we're working with people in our community. And it would be interesting to take a look at the different conditioning that goes on through our lives that justify something like the money position. I think everywhere we look, there is this accent about money, game shows, salaries in football. We have a constant me versus you type of mentality. What do you think?
Well, you're right. We've pitted ourselves against those that we call successful, but successful has to do with what's in their bank account and their net worth rather than who they are as individuals. I think that when we begin to look, one of the things that I discovered when I was out of work is that there's abundance in the community, and I have to just be willing and creative enough to access it. So bartering is also one of the opportunities. As we said at the top of the show, all of us have a set of skills, and those skills are marketable and are tradable. Now, if you've got you want a cabinet installed, or you want a plumbing job or what have you, there are people around that have that particular skill set. And then the question becomes, do you have something to offer them that they may not be very good at, or not know how to do, and that you can provide that for them? And this gentleman has prepared his pizza specialty as an offering for his gift.
I think it's also interesting that we have many people who are so much in the money type of interest that they believe that a bartering economy cannot survive. However, if we exchanged bartering ideas at every level, then this fellow LaMonica would not have to spend $20 for the dough for the pizza. Rather, the person providing the dough might be bartering for something on a larger scale with a larger distributor. We might say this is totally idealistic, but this type of society, community did exist with the hunter-gatherers. Not everyone went out on the hunt. Well, did they look at the people who did not participate in the hunt as being lazy? No. Instead, those people might have stayed back, watched the children, made tools. Um, Everyone helped one another. And if one of the members did not participate in the hunt, he was still given food. There was enough to go around because everyone contributed and thought of each other. Whereas in today's world, I think we're faced with the constant idea of bettering yourself. And once we put that in our mind, we're also saying you're better than other people around you. So don't think of them, think only of yourself.
Well, Tom, I'm reminded that we've had some conversations about communities that actually had bartering in modern day times. And these communities were thriving and very successful because the the coinage that was exchanged was a community coin versus a monetary coin that they could spend outside of the community. And one of the powerful things about that was that, again, you're keeping that flow inside of your particular community. And anytime you can do that, you now have businesses in that community that are reaping the benefits of it. Now, that's not to say that other communities couldn't come in and utilize some of the resources as well, but you have maintained an economy inside of that community that builds it up, and people are supporting each other. One of the things that I find about this pandemic is that we are all looking for ways to support each other, and certainly Mr. LaMonica has come up with a not so unique idea, but it certainly is an initiative that makes sense and could be useful on a wider scale.
I think one of the other things that's incredible is the amount of conditioning that's in our society, stressing this division, pitting one group against another, one person against another. Um, when we go to a concert, we're not seeing um, Bruce Springsteen facing off against um, another artist. We're going to hear what he's singing about. And yet, what are we seeing on TV that reinforces this idea of only you? We're seeing game shows like America's Got Voice or Dancing with the Dollars, where others have to leave the stage so you can win. This is part of the conditioning that is surrounding us for making us into people who are not thinking of the community, but only themselves.
Well, I have to laugh because what comes to mind is Survivor, and now I'm not trying to bash that show. It's a concept and what have you, but you're pitting people against each other and sometimes against themselves, literally, because you're lying to other people to get ahead. I mean, it to me, it's sending the wrong message around community and working together. It's about deceit and what have you to get ahead at any means necessary. And I think we as a society have been stopped by this pandemic and slowed down to begin to consider some of these things that we're doing and to look at, really, is this the direction that we really want to go? Is this the future that we want to have for ourselves and for as a legacy going forward?
When you mentioned survivor, I was also thinking of what's the alternative? If we're talking about how the money system sort of turns us into looking at ourselves rather than the community, and the barter system has us thinking of the community, what would be the alternative to survivor? And I was thinking about problem solving. Like, most of us have seen the great Apollo 13 movie, where the crisis developed about the CO2 filter. Now, everyone operated as a team together to solve the problem. It wasn't me versus you, it was all of us together. Now, if we translate this into um, a scenario of learning, why not have in a classroom in the community students who operate as a team? They're not getting individual grades, the team is getting a grade. How best do they solve a problem? Such as, we have to raise more food for the cafeteria. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, maybe we'll work with local farmers. Who can get in touch with the local farmers? How do we bring the food here to the school? This is a team operated type of idea. It's not individual, it is a whole group of people.
Yeah, and that kind of work doesn't get done, Tom. That's not something that you learn in school necessarily. You may have a lab mate for one of your science labs, or one of your computer labs, but that's a temporary thing. Again, as you said, it's not a team grade; it's an individual grade. um, there are missed opportunities, I say, that we have in society, as we have these young people who are coming up, who are instant money, instant millionaire, instant this. So you begin to have a mentality of, well, I don't have to work for it, I can go win something on one of these shows, or I could um, and I think that that's, we want people to be creative, we want people to be innovative, we want people to think on their own, but we also have to work as a team. We're not going to get out of this pandemic as individuals. We've got to get out of this pandemic together, and that's the whole thing with wearing the mask and social distancing and doing the things that we know to do, um, as a body of people, not as an individual.
Well, let's see. There's a lot more to talk about this, but um, I think this is a good starting point. What would you say in closing to our viewers?
That bartering, don't leave it out. Don't include it in your looking, include it in your thinking. We've got to work together throughout this pandemic, and this is another way that we can achieve working together.
And also think about conditioning. Think about what you're seeing in the world around you. Ask the question, am I being conditioned into this pattern of thinking? Can I be thinking better about how can I help the community? How can we work together?
Absolutely.
Get in touch with us on our Facebook page, Community and Social Change. Let us know what you think.
Thank you, Tom.